Welcome back to another episode of Creating Magic. I'm Dani.
And I'm Paula.
And today we are here to talk about something I know nothing about. We will be discussing Bridgerton and Queen Charlotte. And we have two lovely individuals with us. You have heard from Ryan previously.
Hello.
I will say,
I didn't know
Ryan,
if I was where I was going to segue.
Yeah, no, you're good. I will say that when we had you on was the most requests I've ever received for the unedited podcast from
that's
multiple
dangerous.
people.
That is dangerous.
We talked
like,
for 3 hours.
You have 3 hours.
Yeah. I mean, like, we said some shenanigans there. I don't really know if people can.
It was like all over the place.
I have not provided the unedited version to anyone.
Nary a chance.
But I had multiple requests for it.
Throw my name in there.
And that lovely voice you just heard is Shanell.
Hello.
So to start off, why don't you both introduce yourself and include your house, your pronouns, and let's start there, and then we will move into origin stories.
I feel like the OG needs to go before me. I need to know what to do.
Okay, yeah. Sure, I'm happy to do that. My name's Ryan. I'm in Slytherin house, and my pronouns are they, them. And I don't have an origin story. I emerged like Persephone from the ocean. There's not really. Just fully developed. Shanell, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, hi, my name is Shanell. I'm a Ravenclaw.
And what are your pronouns?
My pronouns are she, her. And I don't have an origin story. I just know she's working on it. She's doing her best. And that's all I can do. You know?
She's living her life.
Her life.
Love it.
We love to see it.
Paula, let's start with you. Because I know you are in a book club for Bridgerton.
I am. With Shanell, actually.
I knew Shanell was in it. But I also know that you're not like the biggest reader, which you have said before.
This is true.
So I want to know.
It is still true.
How did you get into Bridgerton? Or that series genre?
The show. So, like, my first introduction was season 1 of Bridgerton, which I actually watched with my mom, which was awkward. I'm 46 years old, but I still do not want to see people doing the deed with my mom sitting next to me. The second season was a little even more awkward to watch with my mom. My mom has no, the heavy breathing.
Oh, I'm sorry. You watched season 1 of Bridgerton that set the tone for the series. And
felt
you
uncomfortable.
I'm going to do this again with my parental figure.
No, I watched it first, though. I didn't tell her. I hope she never listens to this. But I did not tell her that I watched it, and then I acted like I had not watched it. But I had already, cleared it, and I was like, okay, I know where... it's going to make me uncomfortable. And I don't know why it makes me uncomfortable. I have 3 children. She knows that I've done it. I know that she's done it. So I just, I don't know what it does. It just I don't know. Anyway.
I mean, I understand that. I'm pregnant.
It's weird. Listen, my mom, I have a sister that's 24. Okay. So my mom told me she was pregnant. I was like, ew. And she was like, oh, you didn't know. And I was like, yeah, but now everybody knows, not just me. Everybody knows that my mom does it. Anyway. Bridgerton!
So yeah, so you watched season one and season two with your mom, but like when did you get into the books? Was that just like
So the books, I want to say that after season two, we had like a little group of people that had watched the shows, and we had like several side chats, and then we kind of like merged them. And
It's our 1 year anniversary of our
it's our 1 year anniversary, and we're on book number 6.
We are.
But yeah, so we started reading it. I will say that I loved book Daphne more than show Daphne. Just like I like show Violet more than book Violet. And I know that for Ryan, this is gonna be. I do not like book Eloise.
I'm also on that. Look, Eloise really like she is one of my favorite characters in the show. So when I read her character in the book, I was a little heartbroken. I was like, no, this is not her. This isn't her. This isn't my Eloise.
This is not my Eloise.
So let's continue with Shanell. How did you get into?
So also the same, the show captivated me. And then I was talking about the show so much, I ended up getting for Christmas, I was gifted the book set. And it just so happened right before I started reading it, we all like merged together into this book club. And I'm like, I have the books. I'm so excited to read it. And then obviously the shows. I always watched the show the first time on my own, second time with my sister, my husband, someone else, because I like to soak it in and then like watch it again and see any details that I missed. And then if they have questions, I can talk to them about it even more than I already do. So I do love to read. So they're really easy reads for me. I just have to find the time. And then some of the books, like Paula was saying, I love some of the characters more in the books, but then I love more of the characters in the show. I just feel like they really, really improved on what Julia wrote in the show. They created this whole world for us that I didn't necessarily see in the books.
Shanell, do you have the Illumicrate set by chance? Is that the books that you got?
Yeah, the little ones, the little.
Oh.
Let me get one of the books so I can show you. I'll be right back. Give me a sec.
The Illumicrate Bridgerton set is like a fever dream of mine. It's so shiny and so rainbow and goes for like $900 on Mercari.
Oh God.
Oh.
These are the little books that I have.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. The font is like this big. Very small font, but
yeah, they're like the for listeners. They're like the mass market versions of the books.
Yeah,
that's lovely.
Are. And they came in this set, and these remind me of those old school books. I don't know if any of you like
the Harlequin novels.
Yeah. And then sometimes you'd see them. Like my grandma had a few of those books, and they're always little like this with the little font, and I'm like, it's like a.
They're purse sized.
Yes,
those are like the books I would travel with. Is that size? I do enjoy your bookmark, though.
I got it because it has a little bee on it. So the bookmark is purple, and it has a little bee for the Bridgerton story, and then the font. So I figured it went with the theme of the book.
I'm usually not a bookmark person, and then my friend Lex sent me these bookmarks, and they're my favorite bookmarks I've ever seen, and I will cry when I lose them. But they look like little sprouts, like plant sprouts. They have 2 leaves, and you sit it inside the middle of the book, and so it like pops open the page.
Wow! Oh, that's cute. My bookmarks are anything that crosses my palm. A Guess Who card? Why not? It was here.
Can we note that Paula's book looks like her planner life?
I love it.
Are they color coded tabs?
No, they're not. They in a previous book they were like I had like pink for this book I'm actually reading it. You know that I'm not a good reader, so Rudy and I are reading it together. We're reading it to each other. So that is how we can meet the goal of the book club, which is usually like 4 or 5 chapters every 2 weeks. So we set aside time, like tomorrow, we call each other for like 2 hours and we read it to each other. We get through a couple chapters and we discuss it like while we're reading it, like we'll be like, oh my God. And it's easier to like join in the chat of the book club because since we were talking about it during, it's easy for us to remember what we read. So
I like when you were holding it in front of you because it looks like, what was that, Shanell?
Past the chapters that I read already. I'm like, excuse me.
And tomorrow we'll get in 5 more chapters.
Rude. No wonder you don't have time to stream Hogwarts Legacy anymore.
No, I don't.
I was an avid follower of her streams when she started.
She was
I was her cheerleader.
Originals.
But then I dropped off.
She was like, I can't be watching people play video games. I need to be laying in my bed.
I get motion sick.
From watching people play?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I wish I didn't, but like there's like a few gameplays that I've watched where I'm like, oh, okay, I am comatose for the next few hours.
When I first started playing, I was getting like a little bit nauseous because I couldn't. First of all, I'm not a gamer, so I was like, my camera was going. I was like, oh no, this is. But I finally got used to it. Now if I'm walking and I'm facing a wall, I just don't care. I just keep it moving.
I get really anxious, and I feel like I can't celebrate when I need to because it's like there's like a little time difference. So I'm like, I wish there was a mic so I could be like, oh my God, Paula, John. But I can't like type that, like, so I get a little anxious. I'm like, oh.
Ryan, when did you start the Bridgerton life?
Yeah, I don't know if I would say that I'm necessarily like, so I've read through book 5, but like, so I'll start at the beginning of like, I started hearing that people were watching Bridgerton with their parents, and I thought that was really funny, given that everything that I've heard about the series, like, because it took me a while to like figure out the thing, but also like, I really like any sort of pop culture that makes that is, 1, inclusive, and 2, makes olds in general be like, now let's be reasonable about the way things were. And it's like, no, like it's fantasy. Like, and also like people are allowed to see themselves in high positions of power. So I think inclusion matters. And that's really what drew me to the thing. And then I watched season 1, and Dani, I know you haven't watched season 1, but I'm going to go ahead and spoil the second half for you, because I think that the second half of Bridgerton season 1 can be summarized as Coed discovers the pullout method. And I was like, there is no way that there is a book that has this as the plot. And I had I was like, full stop, there's no way this is in a book. Like, there's no way Violet Bridgerton giving the sex talk to her daughter is in a book. Like, it was all so very cringy. And so I ended up having time off. Like, my workplace gave us time off between Christmas and New Year's in 2021, and that was the first time I had like time off in 2 years like that. And so I ended up reading the book because I was like, there is no way this is in a book. And I was correct. And so I was like, oh, like, what else is in these books? And I read the second one, and I couldn't help but notice that the first season, Anthony's plot line is very much in that he is having an affair with this opera singer, and they got that from one sentence in the second book. And so I was like, oh, like, Shonda is working Shonda's magic. And I was really interested in discovering like what else from these books is getting shortened or expanded or morphed into different things. And so from that, I read the books and like through book 5, and and that was all before season 2 came out. And I was talking to my friend about season 2, and because she watched it. It took me a minute to watch it. I don't usually like binge things on the days that they come out or the weekends that they do. And so I was like, oh, like, what do you think about like Edwina's character? And she was like, oh my gosh, she's so like, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, wait, they changed it into a love triangle. And she was like, Ryan, have you read Bridgerton? And I was like, I read 5 of the books in a weekend. Like, I was like, I was just like, I was so like, I was like, there's no way that this is, like, I don't even know how I ended up reading them, but I was just like, I had time off and I didn't know what to do with myself. So yeah, that's really what compelled me towards the story, is like, there's this, piece like that is very inclusive, and I think that deserves to be celebrated, and also like people just deserve to enjoy pop culture for the female gaze without like it being diminished in any way. And I think that like tends to happen with things that are written for female audiences, and so I think that those things deserve to be celebrated.
And I feel like that's what Shonda does really well. She's like, I know she writes for herself, but she writes for this greater audience and for inclusivity and like the female gaze. And it really hit like season 1. We're like, oh, this show is so captivating. Like, look at all these people, look at these outfits, look at the backdrops, look at the writing, like
the music.
Yes, the music, everything. It was just so captivating. And that's why we read the books. And then,
Yeah, we started comparing stuff. Like, we were like, oh, Book Violet, bleh. I do not like her at all. She's
more like Lady Ledger,
Yeah. Not too close, but she's just more, I don't know, she seems more like uptight in the books and kind of like very rigid, and I didn't like that about her in the books.
I feel like she does come through as the Violet we like in Benedict's book,
which is my least favorite of the books that I've read. I'm sorry, you've read one Cinderella story.
We all said it at the beginning. We were all like,
cliche.
Oh,
there's nothing
very Cinderella, but they were like parts, like the glove thing, like these things that like made us love it. They're like small things, because at the beginning we were all like, this is Cinderella. Everybody's read this before, right?
Yeah, I mean, I also just, my hope for Benedict's story is that it gets gender bent. And Sophie becomes Spencer, because I think in that case, like, one, I think we're ready for it, just like culturally. 2, I think that puts a bigger twist on like a story that like I think a lot of people have experienced before. And 3, that actually makes sense as to why the Countess is threatened by the bastard child, like, even more, is because if the Earl's bastard is a boy, that actually means that he gets to hold the title over her daughters. So that's a threat to her wealth, which and also, like, I don't want to say that it's like comparative to like change somebody's gender as it is like to change somebody's race. That's like, that's not ever anything I'm going to talk about ever. But like, we have seen in the previous seasons that like they are willing to make these tweaks, and they are willing to do these things, like changing like Kate's last name and ethnicity like entirely to make it a more inclusive story. And so I would like to see that particular story get gender bent.
Yeah, I think it makes sense what you're saying about like the Earl and the bastard child and it being a boy, because that's something that we've talked about in our book club, about how women were treated and how they let us know how women were treated. So that would really change the story, and I think it would be a really good change.
How many seasons are there currently?
2, and then you have the little spinoff.
Yeah, so 2.5.
2.5. We're waiting for season 3.
Season 3 was... Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Is the one I'm waiting for, because I love Colin so much, mostly because I love his thighs. But...
and thighs, though.
His thighs. Anyway, it's the one I'm excited for the most because you have like a plus size character, that finally gets like her moment. But I'm also hoping that she makes him work for it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't?
Yes.
Yeah, I also think like as a society we're ready to see like a fat girl get her lead moment as like represented in like as a lead character. Not just like the funny sidekick.
And that's what I think. That's what I kind of enjoyed about Penelope, because I kind of like, we kind of know where it's going, right? And I'm like, women that look like her need love. They get love. They can be sexy. They can be smart. They can be witty. They can be all these things and not just a funny friend.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see that side of her, like the sultry, witty, sassy.
And give me my mirror.
Yeah, Shanell.
Whole damn book.
She can't stop talking about the mirror.
No, I know. I have told Paula about like the things that I would like to see in season 3 of Bridgerton. Shanell, do you have things like as you read the book that you were like, I want to see this in the show?
So funny enough, we're talking about Benedict and the glove and how he smells it. I want to see that. I want to see him be that like, oh, I need this person. Whoever this person may be, this glove, this. I want to see that passion in him. And I want to see Penelope really like tell Colin how she feels and tell, the whole lady whistle down conversation when Colin figures things out. I want to see that.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I really enjoyed about the book, particularly is because like we don't find out that Penelope is whistled down until
their book.
Until their book. But yeah, and I love what you said about Benedict, because like they're not setting up. They've set up his personality toward like he's very much like someone who leans towards extremes. Like he can't just like have a drink with dinner. He's like going to go out and rage. And so like if he's going to like fall in love, he's going to fall in love hard.
And I'm excited to see his arc like finish, kind of like where's Benedict gonna go? Is someone gonna understand him? Because I feel like that's a big thing on the show. Like he feels kind of misunderstood. Like people aren't taking what he loves seriously. So I see that. Yeah,
and also like he's very queer coded in the story.
We had this every time we talk about Benedict and book club. We always are like, you think he's like
it was going to happen in season 1?
We really did. Yeah, when he goes to that party.
Yeah, his interactions with women are not like it almost feels like other men are the center of the like of his interactions with other women in like a weird sense.
And I would love for him to be like just a fluid person when it comes to that, like just very accepting and doing like, even if, because he met in season 2 that woman. And I feel like even him just being comfortable with being introduced to something like that and then going with it on his own, I feel like that would be awesome as well.
Oh, Dani, I think you asked earlier, like, has season 3 been announced? A date has not been announced, but they have completed filming for it.
So there's a solid season 3.
Yeah.
And they did mention a mirror. She was like, there's going to be a mirror.
Yeah, there's that. And like they've done a few pieces of like press and the costumes. And so we do get to see like Penelope have her kind of ugly duckling transformation, which I think is compelling.
They also
Yeah.
mentioned when they were doing interviews and things for Queen Charlotte that the present scenes in Queen Charlotte where the characters are older, they filmed that along with season three. So there's moments we may see them like in the same room or in the same outfit. And I think that's awesome that they did all of that at the same time.
Yeah, I've seen an episode and a half of season one, and then pieces of Queen
Queen
Charlotte.
Charlotte on Sunday.
There were multiple episodes going, and I was like in and out, so I don't know what I've seen and what I haven't seen, and I was really confused because the one episode was like jumping back and forth a lot.
Oh, it's the one where they
Yeah.
like basically show his side, right? Like everything he experiences.
And I was like in and out of the room, and like every time I'd walk in, I'm like, didn't I see this scene? So my knowledge base is very minimal on Bridgerton and adjacent.
I'm gonna ask Ryan this question. Why do you like Eloise's book?
Okay, so I like Eloise's book because first of all, like her character has been established as a character who is very defined by the Gilded Cage. Like she is of privilege and of status in the Regency era, but at the same time, like she is limited by that privilege and by that status. And I think that the book I was first of all compelled by the fact that like she had I think 5 or 6 proposals before she ends up falling for Sir Philip Crane, and I just read her story as not a love story between them but a love story between her and her inevitable stepchildren, and I think that that was very lovely. And there were moments in that book that were very much like she has been established as someone who is like very boisterous and rambunctious in her family and like willing to match each of her siblings like step for step. And she like kind of meets her match in Philip's kids. But then she like inevitably like learns to fall in love with them, and she learns how to unite this family amidst their grief. And I think that's really powerful and beautiful. I really love when the Bridgerton boys meet Philip, and it's right after Colin and Penelope get married, and so he's like, I miss my wife. I came here when I could be spending time with my wife. And Gregory is like, do you understand what he is saying? And his older siblings are just like, kid, you're here because we let you be here. You better watch yourself. I thought that was, yeah. They were like, dude, we don't need your help. And then like she turns on him too. And she's like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that was really funny. I also just love how she like comes to love those kids and help them, and I thought that was really powerful and something that I can really see as from what we've seen Shonda do in the Bridgerton series. Like that's kind of the limitation of the books too, right? Is that we only really see these characters come to life in the book that is about them falling in love. Like you don't really see Anthony as like a person other than just like falling in a lake in the first book. But they had to develop an entire plot line for him in the series because you can't just have like hour-long episodes about Daphne and Simon. And so they've been setting up, I think, these stories to be really powerful and like true to the personalities that are established in the books. And I get what you mean. Like it is pretty bland. It's a lot of her being very like, oh, I don't know. Like, why would I want to fall in love? And that's like, ugh. But then like she takes her stepdaughter to like the modiste for the first time and like gets her dressed up and make sure she like starts feeling like a young lady. And I think that that's really powerful. And then like she tricks her stepson into also getting fitted for clothing, even though he's like, no, I only want to go to the toy store. And I thought that that was like also really endearing. And yeah, that's why I liked the book. But I can understand why you didn't like it, but I would love to hear more about why y'all didn't like it.
Well, here's why, and I think the reason I didn't like it is because I think if I would have read it before, no, I probably wouldn't have. But I think if I would have read it before I watched the show, I would have liked her more in the book. Because in the show, like Shanell says, she's like one of my favorite characters. She's like so different than her siblings, right? She's like, this is not who I am. Like, I love her so much that I was like, I couldn't wait to read her book. Like, after I didn't get my marriage scene, I was like, yeah, we were so excited and pretty much everybody in the book club, I think, agreed that it has been the worst book that we've read so far. It's the one we liked the least.
Do you think that's because you had so much anticipation built versus the actual book?
So it's two factors for me. One, it's the anticipation, of course. Like, I wanted her to be that Eloise. But number two, I also didn't enjoy Sir Philip.
Oh.
He really made it hard for me because I just know if I had a partner that was like that with his children, it would be hard for me to deal with. So his character kind of like, it made me like, I skipped, like I kind of like hurried up and skipped his parts. Like, he just wasn't doing it for me. So it was just like the whole book in general, not just Eloise, because her parts with the children and things like that, or her just like going off and doing something that she wanted to do without permission and things like that, fine. But then Sir Philip was in the book as well. And that's what I didn't enjoy.
I liked the shooting scene where they go shooting and they're all like, quick, we have to do it before she gets back.
Yeah. That book started off strong though. I mean, like emotional. Like, it was very emotional. Yeah. And I was just like captivated. And then him being the father, like obviously being a single father, like going through this whole thing. And then just the letters between them, I just wasn't as captivated. And then there are those sweet moments, between her and the kids, or even the moments with her brothers or the siblings. But yeah, Philip just did not do it for me. And I hope they really like change that or edit something about him to reflect on the show.
Yeah, because he was just, for the thing that bothered me about him was that he was just looking for a mother for his kids.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I think the story arc in the books is different than like what has been established in the series, for a few different reasons. One, both characters, like both of the leads, end up having to go through this like kind of transformation of like the way that they're thinking about marriage and like their partner. But then, and this is kind of where we get into Queen Charlotte, I think, is that like we have a moment where they need to get the Queen's approval in order to get married. And in doing that, there's kind of like that follow through of like Queen Charlotte and King George, of like her getting reminded of her own relationship. And I mean, Queen Charlotte isn't in the books.
No,
she's not
at all.
No. I hope that they change that, or like at least like if he starts out as someone who is solely looking for a mother for his children, the transformation that he undergoes is like improves that. Also, I'm just like, since he's a botanist, I'm excited for like Shonda to do cottagecore. Like, the aesthetics are going to be so on point.
We got a glimpse of it. Like, he's been in all the seasons.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we got a glimpse of their home. We saw one of the babies. We saw him and Colin have this like, kind of nerdy moment where they're talking about things, and Marina's like, hurry this along, please. So we got a glimpse of him, and he seems like, so far it seems to be like the character he is in the book. He's very like nerdy, wants to talk about the things he likes. He wasn't with the children. He was coming from the outside. Like, it seems like she's letting us know, like, this is him. See what happens.
How many books are in the series?
It depends. So there's one for each child. Because there's other books.
Yes.
Like they have like Violet's story. They have like other, and now you have Queen Charlotte, the book.
So does the series follow multiple books?
Yeah, so there's 8 Bridgerton kids. There's 8 books in like the core series, and there's going to be, I think Netflix is approved for 8 seasons.
Okay, so they're doing like a season a book.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But I think they overlap. Like they're introducing the next season by giving you a little bit.
Well, that makes sense. That's how
other ones.
The Golden Compass TV series worked. So like if you were watching season 1, it was book 1, but you already had like the stepping stones of book 2 and the introduction of some of those characters happening in season 1 that did not happen in book 1.
Yeah. And I think it's important that they do that because there's so much now that we have like this Bridgerton universe, right? We're thinking Queen Charlotte. Now we want more. We want Lady Danbury. We want Violet. Like, there's so much more that we want. So I'm wondering, like, is there agreement just 8 seasons or 8 shows, like, of anything? Or is that just kind of what they originally agreed upon for these books?
It's probably like the core set of books. So like 8 season probably doesn't include spin-offs, but if it does well, like how Queen Charlotte is, they may be producing multiples at the same time while they're doing the core 8. So that seems to be how it is like, especially with books to movies or books to TV shows, they take like the series as the selling point.
Well, that's even better for us because I'm in it. I'm talking about this last night. Our friend Stephanie, she found like this timeline, and we were timeline of the universe of everything that happens in the Bridgerton world, and it just made us all so excited.
Yeah, she sent us all these timelines, and we were like, "Oh my god!" Because we're all wondering if, like, in season 3, if there's going to be like a time jump, like, because in the books there is a time jump. But I want to know if there's going to be the time jump. I want to know if we're going to have my mirror scene.
And then like introductions, like we were talking about, how would Miss Eloise kind of like get to that place with Philip? Like, how would this happen? Because she's going through all this stuff with Penn. She has another like love interest. And so we were coming up with theories for that. And then introducing other people like Sophie, John, Michael. There's so many other characters.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think John's gonna get introduced this season because, like, we have a new actress playing Francesca, and she's making her, like, she's coming out in society. And so I think it makes sense for them to set that up for her to meet and wed John this season. I also want to see Edwina fall in love this, like, for season 3. I think we really only got half of the story with, as it is in the book, with Kate and Anthony. Like, we don't get the whole thing where he's like, I am 100% going to die when I am 38. And she's like, dude, that's insane. And also, like, her taking up, what is it? What instrument does she take up? And they're like horrible at it, and their kids are like, oh my god, you all need to stop playing this instrument. But like, we don't see that. So I would like to also see, like further development of Anthony and Kate in season 3 as well.
Yes. And that's part of the thing why I think I do enjoy that's the part I do enjoy about the books. We get more of a like inside of them beyond what we would ever see on the show. Because for instance, I really thought we were going to see a wedding between Anthony and Kate. We saw fireworks, we saw a party, and then like fast forward, they're hanging out with the family. And I'm like, wait, where's the what?
Where's my wedding?
So I do think that's why it's good. Like, even though the books, I feel like some people won't be as excited. Like, we love to read, so like that makes us excited. But
it's a lot of people.
Are going to be like, wait, what? This book isn't the show, and it's not supposed to be the show. But we get a different perspective of them in the books.
Yes, I also am really excited to see the scene where Lady Featherington thinks that Colin is coming to ask for her other daughter's hand.
Oh my goodness.
And he is just getting, like, he is golden retriever energy. And he gets so mad because she is underselling her daughter, and underselling Penelope. And he's like, no, I'm not here to ask for your other daughter's hand. I also really want to see
who that daughter doesn't exist in the show.
Yeah, but like she still has a daughter who is not wed. I'm forgetting her name.
Yeah, I forgot their names too because they're really mean.
Yeah. They also their main maid, like the Featheringtons' main maid, is dressed like Lady Tremaine. Like every time I see her on screen, I'm like, you look like Lady Tremaine.
I need to look this up after.
I love that. I love that. I got that reference. That one I got.
Thank you. It might not be Lady
Tremaine. I know what you're talking about. I have no idea who Lady Tremaine is.
This is my Captain America moment. I understood that reference.
I was thinking Keenan and Kel. Ah, yes, I know some of these words. She's the evil stepmother from Cinderella.
She really does. But yeah. I do want to mention, I was speaking to my sister about this, and Penelope gives us a little bit of Cinderella energy with her sisters. It's the three of them, right?
Yeah.
Cinderella was one, and then the two stepsisters. And her sisters look kind of how they looked. You know, their hair, they're overdone, and they think they look so fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
She's just sitting there like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. Like, so she kind of gives that a little bit for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you said that now.
Yeah, there's that, and also like who was it in the first season, they also do kind of set up, if they aren't going to gender bend Benedict's story of like what is his name, the Nigel Thornberry looking ass who like is like asking for Daphne's hand, but they discuss that like he has a maid with a daughter that he sent to the countryside.
Yes.
And so
Burbrook. Nigel Burbrook.
Yeah.
He's really bad in the books.
Horrible. But like they do set that piece up in season 1 as well, if that is like going to be a through line.
I wouldn't remember that. If you didn't say that, it wouldn't have been in my mind.
This is like fantasy league. Like this is like sports league for me. Like I'm like, oh,
fantasy Bridgerton.
Yeah, I'm like Colin and Penelope are gonna win the Super Bowl this year. Yeah. And so like I guess that's also what got me into the series, is like trying to figure out what are they going to shorten and or expand or move around in the books, because like I Burn for You was originally like Kate and Anthony's line, but then also like the whole thing where like Anthony falls into the lake was in book 1. So they are like moving around these pieces. And I'm interested. I'm not going to read it full stop. But it's interesting that they now have a Queen Charlotte book as well.
Well, we've been told that it's kind of like the show, but there's a little bit more detail to like ages, backgrounds, like where'd you come from, like origin, a little bit more of that.
Yeah, I mean, I could read a history book for that. Sorry, I'm boring like that.
This is our history.
This is our history, okay? How dare you?
I just wanted to say, like, Queen Charlotte, solely on like the paradigm that I set forth before I watched the show. 0 out of 10, no Jonathan Groff cameos. Man, so upset.
You were just looking like,
yeah, like,
Hey,
where's the Hamilton crossover
of Jonathan Groff? He will be in Doctor Who.
He will be, yeah. And I don't know if y'all are Wicked fans, but there has been photos released of Jonathan Bailey as Fiyero.
Yes.
My king. I stan Jonathan Bailey.
My king.
I love him so much. I had that on my profile.
So we have a scale rating that has now appeared on the podcast.
Yes.
On a scale of Cedric Diggory to Pedro Pascal.
My Pedro. I burned for him. But I just want to say the actor, not only like because he's Anthony and like I love his energy from season 1. I'm like, yes, he's a dick, but he'll be mine. It's fine. But the actor himself, like Jonathan Bailey, the fact that he is a queer man, he's out here and he is very, very involved in the community. He's not just saying it for accolades or anything. He's very involved and he doesn't want to be ashamed. He said he came out because he doesn't want to be walking with his partner and have someone take a picture, and he wants to be proud about who he is. And when he said that, I was like, oh, I love you. I love you. I love you.
I burn for you.
I do. I really do. Like him on and off screen. I think he's so talented. His voice, the plays, Broadway, the acting, everything. I think he's so talented. So he's a Pedro. I rate him Pedro.
Have any of you been to the Bridgerton experience? Would you want to attend the Bridgerton experience?
Yeah, if they invited me.
No.
I'm just saying, I'm not going to say, if you're telling me, hey, do you want to check this out? Sure. Do I want to pay for it? No. It's just too short. It's kind of like, it's the Yule Ball. It's basically, It's the same thing. It's too short. And everybody that goes is like, they kind of like rush you through like the little experiences. And then it's like, you have like the 1 hour of dancing or like, I want to feel regal. I don't want to just go there and be like, here, pushing me through like cattle in a nice dress.
Yeah, like, that's exactly how I feel about it. And then I don't also want to be like parading myself in front of the queen. I don't want any of that. I just want to feel.
But you don't have to do that.
Yeah, but
that's optional.
I don't know. It just isn't for me. And everyone that's gone, we've had friends that have gone and they told us their experience was very rushed. It was pricey, of course, and then like getting your outfits together, the photo ops weren't what they thought, and just aside from that, like, I don't know, I love the world and the experience, but that's not something I would want to do.
Interesting.
I love the inclusivity of it, but like there is a reason that like I was never a debutante or like did anything like that. Like
You're not going to believe this, but neither was I.
I believe
serious, Paula?
that we need to like, even though I find this pop culture entertaining, I do believe that we do need to abolish classism and we do need to eat the rich. So
we could go there together and do that. We could wear like
and eat the rich.
Eat the rich. Eat the rich.
As the queen passes, we're like, forks and knives, forks and knives.
Just start banging on the.
Yeah, exactly. You thought this was Regency England? Surprise! It's revolutionary France.
We're throwing it back.
Yeah. Bridgerton, try Les Miserables. Yeah.
We go in
Yeah.
full gear,
Do
like
you hear the people sing? Yeah. They're like, what the? You paid for
we're
this?
adding a Broadway episode.
I feel
Yeah.
like you came to the wrong place. Nope.
They'd be like, you paid for this? Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's
It's
not
kind of
really.
like, to me, it would be more like to be with my people, kind of like the Esther Earl Ball at LeakyCon, right? Like from LeakyCon, that's my favorite. Like aside from like gathering with like the people that I know or that I meet for the first time, or that, nerd prom, right? Like that would be like my thing. But from what people have experienced, what I know is that it was like a very rushed thing. It didn't, and like,
Yeah.
why get dressed up? I mean, I would be wearing flats. I'm not even gonna lie, but I, I, I just don't want. I don't want to feel rushed. I want
I'd
to like.
have my Crocs. My Crocs would be under my gown. I'm serious. Like,
Would they be
Crocs
the
and
Hobbit
socks.
feet Crocs?
Yes,
get
please.
a little tuxedo. What is a little tuxedo thing to put in my Crocs? It's fancy now.
Your Crocs can wear bow ties. Epaulettes.
Crocs.
Put a rose on it.
Ooh.
It's giving the Bachelorette.
A little. Oh no, a bee. I put a bee.
Ooh. That okay, I will say I'm very sad that I was robbed in book 2 where Anthony and Kate are like in the garden and she gets stung and he is just like, well, there's only one option here and it's to try to suck out the venom is probably one of the funniest like thought processes. I was robbed of co-ed discovering the pull-out method in book 1. Not robbed. That was a gift that was not included in a book, that I did not have to read through that. But like, I felt like they made up for it, and like that's the same energy in book 2 of Anthony being like, well, she got stung by a bee.
I would love to see the script for the first season, like when you know how they describe like certain motions, movements, and scripts.
Yeah,
I would love to see.
Okay, so I actually have a question for y'all about like Queen Charlotte. I guess shifting gears a little bit is like, how much of that story or like the story around King George did you know before the series?
I knew a good amount of it because I have this weird like hate and love for the royal family. Partially because I'm from a place where they colonized, so and they're still there. But I have this like weird like, oh, why did they do this? But like, who's related to who? What happened? How many kids did they have? So I did know about the Mad King already. I did. And I was excited. And I love the intro to the show because it was like, this is not based on like historical fact. This is just like our fictional like take on things.
What I know about King George is Hamilton. That's all I got. I don't know anything about anything.
Well, it's interesting because they did put a lot of, for instance, like him being born prematurely is true, right? And them having this many kids and her being from a lineage where she might have African like descent. And just the way that they describe her, or he's described her in letters or different things that he said to people, I'm like, whoa, they're really diving deep into this. Like they did a lot of things that are true.
He also did have like lapse in sanity where he would like go out into the gardens naked.
Why don't we start wrapping up so we don't go 3 hours again? We can still talk afterwards, but
I would love to know your favorites of each character. Like Eloise, you like book or show? Colin, book, show. Ryan, take the lead.
Okay, yeah, sure. I mean, like, I guess the way that I have read the books is that I don't see them as different. I see them as extensions of one another. And so unfortunately, I don't really have an answer for your question because I think that the flaws and the characteristics and the personality traits that they show in both the books and movie series are complements of one another to make the full character. I mean, I guess in that regard, my favorite character is Penelope. I think she is. I think she's in Slytherin. And
absolutely.
She's total. They're Slytherin Hufflepuff dynamic 100.
Who's your least favorite character? Also,
my least favorite character,
Sophie's stepmother, is my least favorite character.
Yeah, the Countess.
She gives big Dolores Umbridge vibes.
I really want to see
Slytherin cool.
Yeah. Yeah, she's very Camilla. She's very...
Don't even get me started with that.
Yeah, sorry. But that is her energy.
Mm-hmm.
She's coming in marrying a titled man and using her time to get her kids a leg up. Am I talking about Sophie's stepmother or am I talking about Camilla? Yes.
Same.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She's my least favorite, but I really enjoy Colin. As a whole, the way that you explained it, extensions or complementary. Colin as a whole now, when I see him or I read about him in the books, and now I see him in the show differently, and I'm like, whoa, Colin is a really witty, smart, the golden retriever energy, and the actor even mentioned, he's like, people love to see me with food on the show. So now I told him during season 3, give me more food. I want
more food. Yeah.
So I love him. And then obviously Jonathan Bailey as Anthony, I love him. So yeah.
Paula?
My favorite is Colin. And also Penelope. Least favorite, I'm going to say Sir Philip. I do not like him. I just don't. I hated that he was just looking for a mother for his kids. And I hate that it was Eloise.
Yeah, he's definitely up there.
I wanted Eloise to be a lesbian, so that's what I was hoping for. I was like,
yeah, I've said this before to someone who whenever I told them that I think that Benedict's story might get gender bent, is they were like, oh, do you think Eloise is too? And I don't know if a platform like Netflix is ready, if culturally we're ready to have a lesbian love story written for the female gaze. And I hate that, but I don't think we're there. I don't think Shonda's audience is there, but that's just me.
I mean, we did see that in Queen Charlotte. I mean, people aren't ready for that, but they're ready.
Yeah,
we saw Reynolds and Brinsley.
I think culturally we're ready for stories about gay men, but I think stories about meaningful stories about lesbians is not necessarily we have Red, White, and Royal Blue coming out on Amazon Prime in August. We have these other stories about gay men that are culturally significant, that
things like
Heartstopper, that. Yeah, Heartstopper also season 2 coming out in August. I'm so excited. Yeah. But we have, I think culturally we're ready for that. But having a specifically a story about women who love women written for women is not that. I hate to say it, but I don't know if we're there yet, and it sucks because
it's what I wanted.
Yeah, I also I will inevitably finish the story, the series though, because I like Hyacinth. I like that she's a 40-year-old trapped in a 10-year-old's body. And so I really want to read her story. And so I'll have to push through.
So far, I have to say that Francesca's book has been my favorite to read. Like, I think it's the pace of the book, probably.
Yeah.
I like it so far. I don't feel bored. Or like I'm looking for
story's
something.
good.
Yeah.
Paula, can you hold the book in front of you?
Why?
Right
like
there.
this?
Yes.
Every time you pick it up, I've been enjoying this view of because the book cuts off at the neck and your head would just be right above it.
Look at me dressed up.
You're ready to go to the Bridgerton experience.
Ready. This is how I'm gonna go.
She's ready to. What is it?
On a necklace.
Yeah. I am like. I do think it'll be fun to see. I feel like they all have their colors, and y'all know I love colors. But
I know you love when the tones are toning.
The tones are toning, and like when Francesca like says in the book, because I did start it, I didn't finish it. I got to the point where they're like at the house where Michael comes back to the house.
Yeah.
And like they like the staff isn't fully equipped, so like the house is cold or whatever. I read till that point, and like Francesca, they make a point of saying that she's excited to be out of mourning because she gets to wear colors that she wasn't able to wear as like a
widowed.
Yeah, as like someone who wasn't out in society. She gets to wear red, and so like I have a feeling that that's going to be her color, and I'm excited for that.
Well, in my book, like the cover, you'll see that there is this red.
Oh yeah. Passion. Yeah.
No. So I'm very excited for that. I'm barely past that part. I'm on chapter 8, where she leaves back to her home. She goes back to her mom, and her mom starts flirting with Michael.
Oh, damn it.
It's really Michael flirting with the mom.
Yeah.
She's like, she's there. She's like, hey, my garden's in bloom too.
It's interesting because now that we've seen Queen Charlotte, I keep telling everyone, I'm like, I don't know if it's because I'm reading the book and watching the show, but Francesca and her mother have a lot in common, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and yeah.
That's why she was ready to get out of her house.
Yep. And then the watering of the garden. I'm like, did this happen around the same time where she's talking about watering her garden and Michael comes back? Like, she's very giddy and excited. So,
all right, friends. Well, let's leave it at that. I'm sure as more seasons come out, we will reconvene, and maybe by then I will have watched all of the series.
You have to
do a watch party.
I don't think you have to. Do what you want.
This is what my problem is. This specific genre is one I've always struggled with. It's just one that I don't enjoy. I don't enjoy like the historical fiction in the Regency era. Since I like even when I was younger.
Superheroes. Yeah. I just don't do superheroes. It's not my thing.
It's hard for me to connect with them.
I do them all.
I know you do, but me, superheroes now. I did watch We Are Heroes, but you know why I watched it? For Pedro.
Yes.
No, we know.
I think we get it. We get it.
Wait, Paula, do you like Pedro?
That's the quiet part out loud.
He's okay.
You didn't just say the quiet part out loud. You said it, and then you screamed it. And then you yodeled it.
So before we head off,
I love you.
For whoever would like to, why don't we share your socials and where people can find you if you want to be found?
Well, you guys can find me on Instagram. My name is Magical Mama Shanell, and that's where you'll see me doing all my little fandom things. I'm a little behind, but I'm gonna catch up.
I can be found. All of my accounts are private for capital R reasons, but please feel free to follow me if you want. You know what? I'll plug a different account this time. You can find me at Ryan's Clothes Diary. That's RYANNS Clothes Diary. Yeah, feel free to follow because that's how I keep track of what's in my closet.
You can see where the colors are coloring on Ryan.
Also, I think you should still follow Ryan just for like good memes. They post
Thank
great
you.
memes.
Thank you.
They
Yeah.
always make me smile, and it's just fun. So I appreciate your stories.
Thank you. Those exist on the Pen Diary, which is, you can find it if you want to find it. If you build it, they will come. Paula, where can we find you on the socials?
You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitch as Unconceivable. Yeah, that's where you'll find me. I started streaming again, so you can find me there late at night.
And then you can find me at Mandrakes and Mischief on the Twitch and the Instagram, and the podcast at Creating Magic Podcast on TikTok and Instagram. And then Ryan, you don't know this yet. I don't know if I've told Paula this yet. Ryan, you will hopefully be back for a house episode for Back to Hogwarts in September.
Woo!
I thought that would be a good time to do a house episode.
Yeah, I need to think through it, but yes, I'm excited.
We have until September. Well,
yeah,
August. I'll give you to August, and I believe Shanell, are you coming to LeakyCon?
I am a maybe for LeakyCon.
So there's a possibility you can find all four of us at LeakyCon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Until next time, keep creating.
Yeah.